on, guys? Black Scout Survival Late Night Live. Thanks for tuning in. So this is actually a story we're going to start off with that happened in my town, and I don't know that if it made national headlines or not, but for the 2A community, shootings in schools, things like that. This is pretty serious to me. This is a teacher in the River Bluff school. This is right down the street from me. Is facing charges on Tuesday after investigators found a gun in her vehicle on school grounds. Police Chief Terrence Green said that Susan Horton, this is her, Susan Horton, who's 54 years old, was cited on a weapons law violation on Friday, December 2nd. Green said that the school resource officers followed up on an anonymous tip that Horton is alleged to have told students in her class that she always kept a gun in her vehicle. She was interviewed by investigators. She told them she had a permit, but the gun was not in a locked and secured compartment of her car as required by law. And they searched her car and found a gun in her purse on the passenger side floorboard. She was charged with carrying a weapon on school property and was arrested. So this story really burns me up because, one, we have school shootings, there's been talk about arming teachers and things like that. But it kind of gets down to, all gun laws are infringements, in my opinion. The thing is this, you choose to be a teacher, right? And so that means that you just can never have a firearm. Let's say Susan was driving home and got carjacked, got held up at gunpoint. She wouldn't be able to defend herself because where's she going to keep her firearm at if she can't keep it in her vehicle? So in transit to and from work, she's totally defenseless. And she says she's got a CWP and things like that. So it just really pisses me off, burns me up because, we have school shootings. We have like the Uvalde Police Department that, didn't, do their job. And teachers that want to protect themselves and maybe protect students. And we're arresting them, She got out on her own recognizance with a $2,500 bond. But, the thing is, it's still on a record. I don't know. I looked tonight to see if there's any update. Is she being fired or anything like that? I'm sure the anti-gunners, because it doesn't matter where you live in America right now. There's woke mobsters that's everywhere, that tries to get you fired for anything. And so, it's just sad that in this law needs to change. I get not having a firearm on school property because of active shooters, but limiting American citizens, stopping them from having the right to defend themselves is a travesty. I'm just mind blown. So anyway, that's in my local town. If you heard of that, please leave it in the comments. That way I know that it made national news. Anyhow, Joe Biden leaves Marine Paul Whelan behind in Russia and actually took Brittney Griner, who hates America. And so the family of Paul Whelan, we're going to talk about Paul Whelan a little bit. We're going to talk about how he landed in Russian prison. But former Marine, his family said that the prisoner swap for the WNBA star Brittney Griner that left Whelan in Russia was a catastrophe because the U.S. would no longer have any leverage to free him. The Whelan relatives also said that they were warned in advance of the impending Griner swap and that it would not include Whelan, so they could prepare themselves for the disappointment. David Whelan, Paul's brother, said in a statement that while he can literally only imagine the joy Griner will have being reunited with her loved ones in a time for the holidays, the inability to also bring his brother home remains difficult for their family to process. That early morning meant that our family has been able to mentally prepare for what is now a public disappointment for us and a catastrophe for Paul, David Whelan said. I do not know if he is aware yet, although he will surely learn from Russian media. Biden prisoner swap continues the pattern in which Democrat administrations swap high-level prisoners and even pallets of cash for Americans held abroad, whereas Donald Trump used threats and pressure to make the swaps. Now, if you didn't know this, Paul Whelan apparently prior to his arrest actually was in support of Donald Trump and voted for Donald Trump. And I know Mike Pompeo had spoken quite a bit about trying to get Whelan, but Russia would not budge on him. But this basically just shows that the Biden administration is using everything they do right now is nothing but preference for their political base. They're trying to appease everything, every law, everything they're trying to push is to appease the woke mob. That's all this is. Obviously her being a black lesbian female that protests the national anthem, she's probably gonna be the number one candidate for the woke mob. Whereas Whelan, middle-aged white dude, his cisgender white male privilege ran out. So in 2020 though, Biden claimed, and you probably remember these lies, that Trump didn't care about the men and women of the U.S. military, and he also made the allegations, as well as a lot of other leftists said that Trump said that they were fools or something like that in the cemetery. Some statement that was never ever, CNN and all those guys ran with it, but it was never collaborated by anyone, or corroborated by anyone. So I've got some footage here. This is the moment that the swap's happening. That's Griner in the red jacket, and there's Victor Bout, and this is happening in Abu Dhabi. Victor Bout is the merchant of death. That's him right there with the yellow folder. And released from federal prison. Brittney Griner went back to the United States, and Victor Bout boarded a Russian government jet. And these are Russian, I guess, intelligence agents that's with him. See him getting on here. This is the merchant of death. He's happy, excited to get back to Mother Russia. So yeah, Brittney Griner. And so this happened in Abu Dhabi, and there's a key part of this we're going to talk about in a moment. But let's first talk about Whelan a little bit. What led him into Russian prison? And on December 28th of 2018, Paul Whelan was arrested in Moscow area by the Russian Federal Security Service. And I meant to get my passport. I was going to show you guys something. I got a Russian visa, and to get a Russian visa is a very complicated process. It's not like other countries. I was going to go for personal security for a client, and I had to go fill out a bunch of paperwork, a complete packet. And so the packet asked pretty much everything about myself. Even about my parents. It was like a thick packet like this. And so the dates that I was going to be in Russia, I was getting the visa for, right? I think I was going to be there 9 days. And the client also submitted the paperwork at the same time. And so you have to send in your actual passport to the Russian consulate. You have to mail it in with your packet. We had people doing this for us. But I'd fill it out, send in my passport, and the client got his back in about maybe 11 or 12 days. Mine did not come back until after the trip that was planned was already over, like 4 days later. They held my passport and would not give me a visa until after the dates that I was supposed to be there. They didn't allow me to go there. Talking to some other guys that was doing what I was doing there, they said, as soon as you get there, you have the federal security service on you at all times. Like you're being followed the entire time you're there. Like you're always watched. So if you have any kind of military background, you are immediately a target. And so I'm guessing Paul Whelan, also being a Marine, maybe this is the same kind of thing. Like he was there, he's being watched. And a lot of times, they warned about getting set up. I was warned of that. So anyway, one odd thing about this arrest of Paul Whelan, this is, like I said, December 28, 2018. He was going to a wedding of a fellow Marines that he had served with, that was having a wedding in Moscow. on December 22nd. Whelan had $80,000 in cash confiscated from with customs at the airport. No idea why I had $80,000 cash. Couldn't find out why that was, but he had. You can't fly with over $10,000 cash. Just by the way, so odd. But anyway, he was later apprehended at his hotel, where Metropole wound up basically saying that there was a Russian citizen that handed him, Whelan, a USB drive, a thumb drive, containing a list of all employees at a classified security agency. So they were trying to say that basically he did a grab of USB with a bunch of information. Whelan says, though, that he was completely unaware of the contents of the USB, and he actually believed it contained material solely of personal value, such as photographs, videos, and things like that. From his previous trip to Russia, apparently this was a guy he knew. He thought he was getting and maybe it was, maybe they planted the stuff on after, but he was supposed to be getting a thumb drive with videos and photos from his last trip. So former CIA officers have stated that the CIA would not recruit Whelan because, I guess he had gotten a little bit of trouble in the Marine Corps, and I think there's a staff sergeant. He got busted out in a corporal, and so they said they wouldn't, with his military record, give him a job. But they also say that he would also have had a diplomatic passport, which is true if you work for the government. I mean, even in the military, you'll get a diplomatic passport, like a burgundy one. The CIA pretty much said that they believe this arrest, Whelan's arrest, and this kind of setup was just to, because of the tensions that America and Russia had been having. And Vladimir Putin then goes on to say that we will not arrest innocent people in exchange to simply exchange other ones. So the CIA pretty much said that they arrested Whelan to use him for leverage to get some of their people back. Anyway, he got 16 years, and unfortunately, he's not able to come back home. And so Charlie Kirk, you guys probably know him. This is where the things get kind of stinky. It says, wow, the Saudis helped broker the prisoner swap of Brittney Griner for Victor Bout only after, in capital letters, the White House ended its lawsuit against Mohammed bin Salman for murdering Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi. Will the mainstream media still shower praise on Biden's amazing deal? So obviously, this is some kind of deal. Hence, what happened in Abu Dhabi. They made this deal to get their man off, right, with this lawsuit. Then Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys tweeted, "Wait, nah, we left the Marine, hell nah." So he tweeted that after he found out that we left Paul Whelan there. He immediately got a ton of backlash. They were saying he was insensitive, this and that, da, 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 da. So he started backpedaling. He said he was sorry for his insensitivity, right? I just wish men would stay true to what they say and not backpedal. They're always apologizing for things. You did it, just man up and deal with the consequences of what you did. Stand firm on what you do. Everybody wants to apologize because the woke mob pounces on them, kind of news going along with Russia, though. Vladimir Putin signs an expanded anti-LGBTQ laws into Russia. Putin signed into law a bill that expands a ban on so-called LGBTQ propaganda in Russia, making it illegal for anyone to promote same-sex relationships or suggest that non-heterosexual orientations are normal. So that's going on in Russia, man. And I will say, I've seen a massive uptick. I don't watch television very much, very little. I think it's a waste of time. I like to be constructive. So it's hard for me to sit down and watch television. But the times that I do, I've noticed an increase in commercials, dudes kissing each other, these sort of things. It's like what 0.5% of the population, and we are acting like it's 95% of the population. You know what I mean? Uh, Look, do your thing, but I don't want it in my face constantly. This and I, just, I it's just wild. I guarantee if I played Christian commercials around the clock, it'd be people protesting, setting buildings on fire, flipping over police cars, these sort of things. Uh, anything, right? I mean, if I played American flag commercials all the time, it'd be the same way. But they just want to push all these ideologies, and it's just to the partisan politics. I mean, that's all it is. They're trying to push this agenda, push into the rule of extinction, because that's what it leads to, is extinction. You don't have children, so what does that lead to? If you cannot have children, that means extinction of the population. But anyway, I do want to talk a minute about something else too. But I want to say that I feel for Paul's family. Do I believe he's a spy? Not at all. I don't believe he's a spy. I believe that I know how things work there based on my past experiences. I'll show my passport visa at some point in time, just so I'm telling the truth. But it's wild that I did not get my visa until after the trip was already over. So they no one went. I mean, they're not going to go without me. So it's just wild. I hated they even had my passport. I mean, man, the passport has like chips in it and stuff. I mean, who knows what they could have planted in there? I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know. But this was probably what, 15 years ago, something like that. Where I guess in that time, you don't really think about these sort of, whereas now, you kind of scrutinize everything, and kind of on those lines, be sure to tune in tomorrow. I'm going to have Adam Tickner. He was on the TV show The Colony, if you remember that, season 2 on Discovery Channel, former Marine as well. And he's going to be going over, it's about an hour. We're going to be spending about an hour talking about personal security and encrypted communications. And these are things that you need to be putting into your day-to-day life. I'm telling you, this is not a video you want to miss. This is what you need to watch this video, because these are things you need to implement. This will stop Big Brother from watching you, from hackers, all these other things. These are things that every prepared citizen should be doing. Even I learned quite a bit, and I think it'll help you out tremendously. One thing I do want to say, though, is that I posted a few days ago, and I always talk about being black pilled. There's so many things that have made me black pilled as of late. My friend Mark over there, Centerline Systems, he and I talk about this all the time, just being black pilled, because the thing is, one, conservatives are Republicans. Sorry, Republican. Are all bark and no bite. That absolutely do nothing. I did see that DeSantis is trying to go after the COOF vaccines manufacturers for making false claims, but there's very few that actually do anything. We have rhinos like Dan Crenshaw, and all these folks that will talk a good game on Instagram, Twitter, but when it comes to actually making some kind of, they don't do anything, right? So that got me black pilled. The amount of conservative cuckery that happens with these beta males that want to attack other conservatives, and I don't mean politicians, attack politicians because that's their job, but just the amount of cuckery that goes on between conservatives attacking each other. The left don't attack each other like that, and hence why they're winning at everything. But the conservatives will constantly attack one another. It's the wildest thing I've ever seen. It's like let's imagine the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing, and then the Dallas Cowboys are playing against each other over here, and the Steelers just keep running the ball down the field because they're tackling each other over here. The Cowboys are tackling each other and all this kind of stuff, running defense on their own thing. So these sort of things, and then just the lack of humanity, right? I posted yesterday, my best friend, who I've talked about before, former Marine, we served together, and I love to see Marine veterans, entrepreneurs. I love to see it, because I'll be honest, whenever I got in the military, you thought Like you could just, people want to hire you. People don't care if you're a veteran or not. They don't care about. And the thing is, veterans offer a lot of skill sets, a lot of intangibles, um, you know, skill sets. And so when I see veterans flourish with entrepreneurship, taking things that they learn and applying it to business is amazing, especially people that don't even have an education in business, right? It's kind of like we did the Winfield Watch Company review last night, like another veteran making great quality watches, and things like that. I love seeing it. I love it. I love seeing veterans doing well. But my good friend, my best friend, he's my best friend in the world. Like if I called him and I said, I need you right here, right now, bring your guns, he'd be there, right? He'd be there, no problem. Anyway, he was a carpenter. He like as his hobby, that's what he did. He would do carpentry on the side, and so he built a barber shop and built the entire inside of it by hand himself, right? And so this barbershop looked amazing down in St. Augustine, Florida, looked amazing. Someone maliciously burned it down, right? And he had barbers there. And if you're in the barber world or cosmetology world, most businesses, the owner of the business, they rent the building, own the building, they charge booth rent to the barbers, right? So they're pretty much self-employed and they pay booth rent. So their equipment typically is not covered in insurance because they're contractors. And so the barbers lost all their equipment. It's right here at Christmas time, right? Right here in Christmas. And I had my followers commenting saying, well, he should have been prepared. He should have did this. So because what I did is I posted up the GoFundMe link. I don't like GoFundMe, but that's what he used. And all he was doing was asking for money to get the barbers their equipment back so that way they could work right weeks before Christmas. They got families. Barbers aren't making a ton of money. They could be possibly living paycheck to paycheck. Right before Christmas, they lost their job, essentially. All their tools and barber equipment is expensive, right? So weeks before, they don't have income. Got to eat, got to pay rent. Kids want toys. And so all he wanted to do was get the barbers their tools back. And folks were like tripping it on the comments saying that I was hawking for money or this, and I donated. You can go see my donation. It's on the GoFundMe link. So the thing is, like, and some people said, well, you get a tax write-off. If you don't get a tax write-off for GoFundMe, it's not a 501c3. And if you know this, like whenever I was saying I donate money all the time the other day, people like, this is a tax write-off. Well, do you know when you own a business, especially a business that you like, I can go buy anything I want and write off as tax write-off, right? I can go buy guns, I can go buy knives, computers, phones, video cameras. I can buy pretty much anything I want. Clothing, I can say it's costumes for video production. Anything I want, I could go buy and write it off. I don't have to give the money away. That's if I was a selfish guy, that'd be dumb to do if I wanted to buy things for myself. But the fact is that people that follow me, I would think are in the same, trying to make the world a better place. And they're sitting here knocking the fact that this man's trying to be a good leader, taking care of his people. He probably could come out of pocket, maybe, but I don't know. He just lost his freaking business he built by hand. I don't know his financial status. But the thing is that do you want to have to worry about a neighbor on the street, house burned out a few days ago. People were helping this guy out. I mean, could you imagine losing something that you built by hand that took you months to do? Do you really want to worry about having to, all the other things that's going on? But for him to set out and say, let me try to just get a GoFundMe so I can pay for the tools. And who knows, the amount of money he's asking for may not even cover the tools. Maybe he's covering the rest of it. He's just trying to get some help, right? But the problem is that people they're so selfish. They're self-righteous. They want to say about how great they are. Or how smart they are. It's just the world is in a downward spiral. And that's for everybody on every side of the fence. It doesn't even matter. I mean, if it's my own followers, people that, and some of the guys I see comment regularly, and then they don't want to help out their fellow man. You know what I mean? If I say it's my best friend, a Marine I serve with, like he's a vetted guy. Like I would hope that if I say that a guy like that, and I'm like, hey man, this guy needs help. I can't get to him. Can one of my followers go help him? They'd go do whatever, help him just the same. That's what I would hope because he's a vetted guy. So it just really breaks my heart to think that our humanity has crumbled this far, you know. And I'll just give you a word of wisdom, though, is that, and this is with community, like always, Robert Spangler actually said this the other day, and referencing me, and I'm saying it now, referencing everything. Your community is your greatest asset, right? Your community is your greatest asset. Gear, none of that skill. Your community is your greatest asset. So you can either be an asset or an asshat. Figure out which one you want to be. Okay. The world has got enough asshats. Be an asset. Okay. Anyhow, guys, I do appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. And if you do find it in your heart to help this guy out, the links on the community tab of this page. Yeah, I mean, it's right before Christmas. And guys, if it ever comes up something, hell, you need help, whatever, hit me up. I help people all the time, right? That's what we're here to do. I'm not a greedy guy. The best feeling in the world is helping other people. To me, it is. You know, I prefer much to do that than to buy myself things. You know what I mean? There's no better feeling than helping somebody else when they're in need. And I hope that if you are questioning that sort of thing, like that you sort that out tonight, that you need to be a better man, a better person, a better human being, right? We all need to. Every day we should strive to do that, right? Oh yeah, before I forget, speaking of former Marine, fellow Marine, last year we did a knife with John McNeese, great knife maker, former Marine, and we did a custom knife. And so we did another version. So we did a green version last year. This is the logo patterns in black, and it's just the metal color underneath. This is the Automac. And so see this button right here? So it's an automatic version of the one we sold last time. So it came out with the new Automacs. And these are in Magna Cut. If you know what Magna Cut is, it's a new awesome steel made in America, handmade USA by hand by John McNeese Knives. So these will be up on the site tomorrow. And we did these for Christmas because I think that's when we did them last year too. Try to always do something special for Christmas. So these will be up there. Great little EDC knife. I usually don't keep everything that we sell, but I'm definitely keeping one of these. So I can't keep everything we sell, or we won't. You know, that's not a good business practice. But anyway, fellow Marine, knife maker, love to see it. Love to see entrepreneurship. Anyhow, guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. And remember to be an asset, not an asshat. And stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Take care.